Don't you worry, the clip's about to begin, but don't forget to subscribe. Or else, don't make me turn this website around.
We're going to talk to Daniel in Florida, who is undetermined whether they are theist or atheist, which is usually the way atheists call in if they want to get one of the theist lines. But maybe not Daniel, because we limit the number. We limit how many atheists call in.
All right, you busted me. I'm just kidding. I'm glad you started like that. Kind of kidding around a little bit because I'm actually pretty serious about this phone call.
Okay.
Paulogia or Paul. I've been watching your show for a while now. I really enjoy it. Thanks for doing it. I haven't watched the show as much, but I have watched you a few times. And I like the different viewpoints of the different people that come on the YouTube channels. And every time I watch a show, I end up going, that's another reason why I'm leaving the church.
Sure.
It kind of put ideas in my head. But the reason why I called was because, I do have a 12-year-old daughter that enjoys going to church. I have 6 brothers and sisters we're all raised Catholic, and all go to church. It's been over a year now. I think the weekend I was driving home from my mother's funeral, I was listening to the Atheist Experience, and it was Matt was talking about the letter he had gotten from his mother, a note for his 50th birthday, and we're about the same age. And I think that weekend is when I really started to say, really, really doing a lot of questioning about what's going on in my life and how far should I really take my views as far as being a Christian and that sort of thing. And, but, I'm struggling with the two things. One, why am I still going to church if I have these doubts like I do? And two, I am one of those people that was indoctrinated with hell really bad. And my thoughts of going to hell are pretty rough. And I keep telling myself, hey, there's no such thing. You're not going to go to hell because there's no hell, and that sort of thing. But I still have it in the back of my head. So I'm wondering, does it sound like, it almost sounds like that was forced into being I'm forced into going to church or forced into being a Christian as opposed to doing it because I want to. Does that sound like something that you've heard before and dealt with? Either one of you can answer.
Well, certainly that's my exact experience in that I kept going to church for quite a while for the sake of my kids and my family. I guess I'm going to start with the latter first for whatever reason. Like the hell side of things, I think you would acknowledge, even when you believed it the most, that going to church wasn't going to keep you out of hell, right? Like probably wasn't part of your belief system. Like the church alone.
Yeah,
church
but
doesn't.
I felt like if I was going, that it would kind of help steer me in the direction of not going. But yeah, I
of not going to hell. Okay. Yeah, my pastor always used to say, going to church doesn't make you a Christian any more than being in the garage makes you a car. So that's always the line that we got there. So I would say, you can give up church. The hell thing, I talked to a lot of people, and the hell thing is one of the last things to go for a lot of evangelical Christians. And for me, it was as well. It took quite a while afterwards. Just like you said, when I didn't believe that hell existed, and yet you could wake up in sweats thinking you're going there. So just know, I don't have a great answer for when that's going to dissipate, but it will dissipate, and that what you're feeling is very, very normal for people who have left evangelical Christianity. As for the before, I guess my question is, why are you going? Are you going for your sake, or are you going for your daughter's sake?
Well, I used to believe a lot of it was from, all right, you make it easy. Yes, I go for my daughter.
Okay.
I'm not.
And then,
I'm not
are
going
you going
for myself anymore? I don't do the confession thing. I don't do any of the. I was raised in Catholic school, so I did. First Holy Communion and confession. I was confirmed. I went through a lot of those, a lot of that staging. So I felt like, I was really invested in church.
Right. Well, as a father of a daughter, I think
I've been. Say that again. I'm sorry.
As a father of a daughter, I understand that there's probably nothing you wouldn't do for her. So obviously, like spending a couple hours every Sunday driving her back and forth, even if you just think of it as a chaperone or a chauffeur service, right? Like if she was in gymnastics, or if she was in some other, maybe she'd be in some club that you didn't even specifically approve of, you'd probably still drive her back and forth. So, I mean, you can think of it that way, that, you're doing this as a relationship for your daughter. Where it becomes tricky is when it becomes no longer intellectually honest for you. So if you're still questioning, that's fine. But if at some point, like me, I was in the pew and just wanting to yell back at the pastor every line of the sermon, and had to, I was visibly not agreeing. And I think then became a distraction and a detriment, and it wasn't helping my relationship with my daughter or my other kids at that point. So I think if you're still seeking, it's fine to go. And even if you're going and you're like, if you're thinking in the back of your head, well, what would Paulogia say to this sentence? Even that's a good exercise, right? Like, I listen to a lot of sermons every week, even now. So if you're going there and you're thinking through, does this make sense? Is there a logical fallacy in what's being presented here? How does he know what I'm assuming it's a he, because if you're at a Christian church, how does the pastor know, what they're saying? Like, there's value in that as well.
Catholic priest. Yeah.
I guess a Catholic priest. Yeah. So,
yeah.
Like, are you analyzing the sermon as you sit there? What are your emotions as you're sitting in the pew there?
Hypocrite. I feel like, I'm and even before I started, it was like the weekend, and I'm not trying to be depressing by talking about my mother's, going to my mother's funeral. The whole family went to service the day before we had the funeral. We went to a Saturday night mass at the hospital, and when we went, we were all there together, and I'm sitting there thinking, I don't want to say anything to my family about my feelings. I didn't want to say anything to my mother about my feelings, because where would that have gotten me, at that particular point? I didn't want to bring any more suffering to anybody they were all hurting anyway. And, but since then it's been really, I question everything that I hear in the church, every bit of it. I listen to different people, and, and I think there's Noah's Ark didn't happen. There's no way I cannot believe in a 6-day creation. I mean, there's just all these different stories, and the stories that kind of led me on to another question is all the stories that I hear, and I have visited different churches, and not one church will preach the entire Bible. They'll I think y'all said something about cherry picking out of the Bible, as opposed to just teaching you everything about it, because I honestly believe that even pastors are ashamed to preach everything out of the Bible. And I think to myself, well, why don't you talk about, maybe even slavery, or the way they talk about rape in the Bible and how they treat women? But they won't do that. And that's what I think about when I'm at church.
So it sounds to me like you've crossed that intellectual dishonesty line, where probably you're doing more harm than good. I don't know your exact situation, but it sounds like either you're at the line or approaching that line. You should probably start thinking about an exit strategy if you haven't already, and that needs to include making sure that your daughter knows that no matter what she believes, that you will love her, and that if you leave the church, that it has no reflection on her and no reflection on anyone else in your family, that is not, because that's the most important thing, right? So to make sure that she feels safe and that you leaving is not a rejection of her. So think about that exit plan, because at some point you need to start probably dropping her off as opposed to going in with her, in order to just for your own mental health.
Is it normal to feel that? Is it normal to feel, also that, why, if I feel this way, what if when she gets a little bit older and she sees that I'm not going, and then she realizes, well, Dad, why did you have me go? And I'm thinking, well, what left you go? Because you like Sunday school and you like, some of the kids you hung out with in school and you enjoyed, during Christmas time and stuff like that. And, other things like, telling her about, no such thing as Santa Claus and stuff.
Right. But part of that is letting your kids, like the answer to that is because honey, I love you. And I don't want to teach you what to think. I want to help you with how to think. And I'm going to support you no matter what you do. That is all wrapped up as part of that parenting answer. Like it's because I assume that, like, for example, if you thought for 1 second that she was being physically harmed, that you'd have her out of there so fast that they'd never see you again, right? Like you don't suspect anything like that.
That's correct. That's correct.
So, there's supporting your children through ideas that you don't agree with is just part of being a parent. And so, that when she comes back to you at 18, if she decides she's an atheist and asks you why, that's part of your answer. And hopefully it comes across as loving, and hopefully you're coming from a loving space. I don't know, Jimmy, I kind of monopolized that because I'm the parent on the panel here, but
when you said supporting a child no matter what they believe is part of being a parent, I was like, man, my parents missed the memo. But I can only speak from the perspective of a child. I don't know, a child to a parent, rather. I don't know to what degree she understands that you don't believe anymore. But I can tell you that in my own journey, had I not been the first member of my family out, it probably would have meant the world to me if a parent or somebody else significant in the family had said, just so you know, prior to me not believing, just so you know, I don't believe this anymore. I don't want to fight about it with you or anything, but if ever the day comes you have questions about why I don't believe anymore, I will share with you honestly and forthright those things. And so while at the time that happened, I would have, my impulse would have been to challenge them potentially. When my own faith became shook, I would have loved to have a family member I could have gone to and had that level of validation. Like only a couple of my family members have left since. Technically, there had been some others that were cousins, but they were over in England, and these weren't people we had much of a relationship with, except for how one of them was being demonized for having left the church and marrying this person who was a bishop in the church and left the church and then sued the church. And so my only interactions with them were to basically hear what bad people they were. There was never a personal one. So my local family, the thing that would have mattered, I didn't have anybody to come out to and to ask questions and work through those things with. So I definitely think at some point your daughter should be aware that that's how you feel, because if she has to work it out in secret because she actually thinks you do still believe, that sucks. It's a shitty position to be in.
Yeah, that should be at the same point where you start dropping her off as opposed to coming in with her. Mm-hmm. And the other thing that kids tend to react poorly to is being lied to, right? Like kids can handle almost any truth, but the being lied to scars for a long, long time. So don't be one of those.
Show her some K-pop YouTube videos. She'll be an atheist in like a month. I don't know anybody who is a theist that likes K-pop. That's a joke to try and lighten the mood a little bit here. Anyway, Daniel, any other thoughts, questions, or anything?
The only thing is I appreciate you guys doing what you do. It's a real pleasure talking to both of you guys and giving me some of your thoughts and some advice. Keep up the good work, because you're kind of working on me, but not in a bad way. And that's why I liked watching your videos, because you're not saying you're an idiot for believing, you're not, you're kind of or you're coming across as being understanding about how it is, and since you've been through it, that makes a lot of sense. And I just watched one video there where you had a worker on from another
right, one of Ken Ham's Former employees,
and that was a pretty cool video. I was, to see her come through that and that sort of thing. So people are reaching out to you of all ages and groups and that sort of thing, and it's helpful. And I appreciate it.
Thank you, Daniel.
Thanks
for calling.
All right, thank you guys. Hey, I was a little bit nervous, but you all worked it through, man. Thanks.
Cool.
And let us know in the future how it's going.
Yep.
I appreciate it. I'm on your Twitter feed or something. I'll say hello to you.
Sounds great. Thanks, Daniel.
And I'm going to pick yours up now, Jimmy, too. I'll look for yours.
Cool. I'm very sorry for what you see there. we'll see you.
I'll let you know what's going on.
Right,
I appreciate it, guys.
Thanks, Daniel.
Have a great day.
Bye now.
All right, bye-bye.
Yeah, generally Twitter's a mistake, but
I've rejected Twitter in that I don't engage the way I feel most other internet activists engage on there. I share thoughts like, I think this week I talked about the complications of blowing your nose in the shower, which a lot of people don't understand, because there were definitely a lot of girls on there that are like, what are you talking about? It's super easy. You just like into your hands or straight on them. And I have a beard, and it adds a new level of difficulty, and the level to which I was congested this last week also. But anyway, we'll stop talking about snot because that's never
how's
popular.
the line on the viewers now, Jimmy?
I'm just saying that's what my Twitter's for. So you all go there if that's the side of me you want. Hey, thanks for checking out this clip for The Line. While you're here, hit that like button, hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and then share this with that bitter uncle of yours who loves talking about the good old days.